Yo, yo, what's up, guys? All right, so what do I see going on right now? So today's a tough day because there's no news. If you check the economic calendar, you'll see there's no red folder news. I don't think there's any news at all. But right now we are trading from within this bullish fair value gap. This is on the 4-hour chart, and then we have this BPR, which is a very strong signal in the markets. So the whole thing that I've been trying to point out, if you go over to the, well, even the 4-hour chart. So all these green lines that you see here are equal highs. They're perfect equal highs on NQ. So for me, what I'm thinking is that this is the main draw on liquidity. This is what I personally think. This low right here, which is where the volume started for the NQU contract, I think eventually we'll end up down there, but I think before we get there, we're going to stop out a lot of shorts. Market makers don't like people just to profit all the way down on a move like this. So I'm thinking that we are going back to at least the 50% level. Where did I get this? It's a Fibonacci from the low to the high of that whole leg, this whole pullback that we've had over the last, I don't know, what's today? This is from the 10th. This was from the 10th of July to August 9th. So I think at minimum, we're going to go back to this 50% level. It also lines up with that major sell-side liquidity that we took out from June 7th. So typically, when you have major sell-side, the market algorithms come back and spool price back up to that major sell-side. So it pairs almost perfectly with the 50% level, and right above it, there are these perfect equal highs. So I'm thinking that we're going to get a move back up into there. Again, I wouldn't trade with any size today unless the setup was really, really good, but I just don't see it to be that great right now. We did come down to the 4-hour fair value gap here. Did we take any significant sell side? Wow, we did. We took out this sell side right here and entered the 4-hour fair value gap. So that's pretty bullish, I'm not going to lie. If we go over to like the 5-minute chart, this is like an iffy spot. We'd want to see this 5-minute fair value gap get closed above, but the only guaranteed level that you'd get out of that, really, it's not even guaranteed for sure, but would be this internal high right here. So that's just not really worth it to me. I mean, what you could try and do is front run it here, take a partial here, take a partial into this fair value gap, and then just hold runners all the way back up to London high. Wow, we have a big... Yeah, there is a lot of room back up to here. So let's look at the 15 and see if there's anything here. Nothing that I really like, to be honest. If we can inverse this 15, because this is the singular fair value gap in the leg, that would be pretty darn bullish to me. Yeah, if we can inverse this 15, for sure that would be bullish, at least to this internal high. Just looking at some of my swing trades here. We don't need to look at that right now, but Alibaba was one that I called out in the Discord today. I'm not going to give that out often, but if you guys want to hear about it, you can. So what did I see with Alibaba here? Well, we traded into this bullish fair value gap, and we bounced out of it, and we inversed this weekly fair value gap. We came down, we never closed back below it, and then we gapped down and immediately had a huge push. So for me, that just tells me that I think it's super bullish. We have all this low resistance liquidity here that's meant to be taken out eventually. I think that Alibaba is going to go up to 120 at some point in the future. So for me, this is going to be a swing trade. My stop for this trade is going to be a close back below secondary one on a weekly close. So my risk, I'm only going to do 100 shares on this, so the risk will be about $800, and take profits will be here at this little internal buy side. Whoops. And then this internal buy side and this internal buy side. I'm not going to go for anything crazy on this. I think this is the highest probability. These three are the highest probability levels. And that's just what I see with Alibaba. Tesla, ooh, not doing so well today, huh? SOXL, how is that doing? Ooh, that's looking nice. This is one that we added at 29, or actually 26, I think. I think I added it at 27.80, 27.90, if I'm not mistaken. But this is a great ad, in my opinion. I think that it's going at minimum. Where did that green level come from? I think it's a daily. I think it's the top of this daily gap. So at minimum, we're going to go to 35 on this, most likely. But ideally, I mean, I want to see it go back up to... I mean, these gaps need to get filled eventually, and I think they will. I think this is a great area just to start adding shares for like a long-term hold. Okay, let's take a look at NQ again and see what's going on. Did we form equal highs here? Oh, whoa, I think we did. Let's see. Nope, we did not. We did not form equal highs. We just took out that internal high there. Yeah, today, I don't know. It looks like it's going to be a tough day. I don't like these 1 minute candles, how they overlap like this. It's just not a... dropped frames detected. What does that mean? Yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of what I'm seeing, to be honest. I mean, I do like that we're trading from within that fair value gap, but you have to realize, too, that we have so many unbalanced fair value gaps here in this BPR that we could easily come down and trade, for example, into this one. That could be where the ultimate move is made. We have these nice equal highs here. Are those on the 1 minute? Let me double check where those came from. I just want to delete these data points here. So yeah, these equal highs came from the 18952 level. I really like those. I think that we're probably going to hit those at some point soon. But maybe not today, probably not. Let me see if I find any other equal highs anywhere. Are these equal? Let's take a look. I don't think they are perfectly equal. They're relatively equal, so I mean, at least you get something out of it. Let's go to the 5. I just want to see if any equal highs formed from here. Yeah, no. Nothing here either. Let's see. Yeah, nothing. Oh, are these equal highs right here? No, they are not. All right. Or what the hell? Okay, there we go. Yeah, so when I'm unsure of what's going to happen on the lower time frames, immediately I just move to the upper ones, to the higher ones, to the 1 hour and the 4 hour. So this is a fair value gap that I'm going to be keeping my eye on right here. So it is a 1 hour fair value gap within a 4 hour fair value gap. So that could be a very good area for a bounce. And again, my ultimate targets, like I said, are going to be this 50% level, these equal highs, and these equal highs. But there's a few different scenarios. What does this mean? Drop frames detected 33% over the last 2 minutes. Streaming has detected dropped frames. What does it mean? Some frames have not been uploaded. The problem is usually related to a poor network connection. Interesting. If I open my settings and I go to advanced, I mean, it looks okay to me. Well, if you see the stream, let me know if you had any issues with it or not. So yeah, this is just a time where I honestly would sit out. I don't like what I'm seeing. Let's look at SOXL. Not having the best move in the morning here. Wow, LLY, Lily is having a great, wow. Lily's having a great move. Oh. Sheesh. This could have been a great ad from just a few days ago. Tesla, doing decent, not really doing anything on the day. Probably with Tesla here, I'm thinking that we're trading into this. Wow, look at that. We traded so nicely into this 4-hour gap. Just touched it, and we had a bullish reaction. So let's see if that is the reaction that we need to finally drive Tesla higher. This is one I've been holding forever, and these are my 3 targets for this. 287.98, 299.29, and 314.67. Those come from these internal highs here. All this LRLR, low resistance liquidity. And hopefully all these eventually, and then 415 at some point in the future. But that's what I'm seeing on Tesla. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the stream. But if you watch the stream, let me know if it is glitchy or not in the future if you watch it. What else? What else can we look at here? The Mag 7s. NVIDIA. So here's a crazy thought with NVIDIA, and a lot of people are giving me hate for this. This looks like a sell program to me. It's possible that... Hold on, let's go to the daily quick. Hold on, guys. I just gotta check something out here. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's up with this drop frame stuff. going to have to reach out to Streamlabs to see what this is all about. So here's the crazy thing, the crazy take that I'm looking at on NVIDIA. Yes, we had these daily gaps that were filled nicely, but so listen, it's possible that this is going to be the low, but I just don't see it. I think there are so many people that were long NVIDIA from this low, which was at $760. Keep in mind right now, if you want to buy NVIDIA on this dip, you're still looking to buy NVIDIA at over $1,000 a share. Now, yes, people are, I mean, granted, you can talk about how the PE ratio is cheaper than it was before, but in reality, it's like, I don't know, it's too expensive for me to buy. I would only feel comfortable after we take out significant sell side. And that's just me. I missed the boat on NVIDIA. Believe it or not, I had an order that was, I was trying to get it filled for $91 a share before the split. Before the split. I think it hit 102, if I'm not mistaken, or 101 or something, and then it just rallied. I missed out like crazy on that, unfortunately. But yeah, so I am waiting for this sell side liquidity to get taken. On the 4-hour, we did have this big bullish fair value gap that we tested. We did take out, wow, so we did take out this significant low, right? Let's put that in red here. But I just think that these are just waiting to get taken out. And eventually, if they do, that is when I will add. I have a limit order for $75.60. I'm going to do $75.75. Just in case we never get to the internal low or the sell side, but that's what I'm looking at on NVIDIA. AVGO, this is one that I added as well. That was in the Discord. For anyone that wants that, the link should be in the description. Can I pin a comment? Let's see if I can. If I go on to... Let's see here. If I go into YouTube and I go over to my channel and go to live, let's see what I can do here. Can I add a comment? Can I? No. I don't know why. What else can we see here? Okay, so here's one that I've been pointing out as well that I think a lot of people need to continue to pay attention to, and that is TLT, okay? So, let's see if I can explain this. Pretty much, so this is one thing that we've been adding. I added this at 89 with a big position, and I haven't added since. I did take some profits here at 98, but my final take profit's going to be at 100. And then I'm going to leave just a small amount of runners up to these internal highs. So this high at 103, and then this last high will be at 109.68. But TLT tracks the 20-year treasuries. So it's a longer-term treasury ETF. And pretty much when the Fed starts cutting rates, a lot of investors flood their money into bonds to try and lock in the rates, the current rates, before they start to drop. Because when the Fed cuts rates, yields will start tanking on all bonds, especially the shorter term ones, because the Fed, the federal funds rate affects the short term of the yield curve more than the long term, because it is a short term rate by nature. Banks and the Federal Reserve, they borrow money from each other in very short periods of time, typically overnight. And so when the short-term yields are impacted and they drop, a lot of bond investors and just regular investors are trying to buy at these high rates if they can. They want to lock it in, but that means there's an increase of demand for short-term yields. The yield starts to drop because there's less supply and more demand. The same thing happens to the longer-term treasuries. So this is like a longer-term treasury. It's impacted less because it's a longer-dated treasury. So the longer-dated bonds are affected less by short-term interest rate cuts, if that makes sense. But regardless, when you buy this, you're basically betting when the Fed cuts that yields are going to tank. Because when yields tank, it means that people are buying, right? So the price of the bond is going to go up because there's more demand. Supply drops, more demand, yields tank, bond prices go up. So that's what you're betting on with this. And you're basically getting paid a dividend, and the dividend comes from the interest payments from bonds themselves that the ETF holds. So you're getting that interest in the form of a dividend. So that is why I bought TLT. Let's look at mortgage rates. Look at this. So once the news comes out that the Fed is very likely to cut rates, as you guys know, let me pull up. Hold on one second here. So what was I doing? Oh, let's pull up the rate probability percentages. So this is a Fed watch tool. As you guys can see, obviously the next Fed meeting is in 40 days. But what I want to show you guys here is the probabilities of rate cuts. So it's funny, this rate cut was at this. So this is the current rate cut. The current rate target is 525 to 550. That's the target rate. So the odds right now in September of a 25 basis point rate cut are 45.5%, and the odds of a 50 point are 54.5%. So I think the odds of this were like 75%, just like at the beginning of the week, because everyone was freaking out about the whole Japan currency issue, the whatever trade, I forgot what you call it. So this was almost 75%, and now it's at about 55. So in total, there is a 100% chance that the market is pricing in a 100% chance that the Fed's going to cut rates. So because of that, obviously mortgage rates are coming down, because if the Fed cuts rates, the short-term borrowing rate is going to be less, and therefore the fixed mortgages are going to drop. Everything is going to drop. The cost to take a loan on a car, a loan on a house, for example, a mortgage, everything is going to drop, and of course TLT is going to rise. So that's the situation with that. Bitcoin. This is an interesting one. So I've pointed this out on Twitter, but this whole time I've been looking at this 4-hour FVG right here. Okay, this 4-hour fair value gap. I was saying on Twitter, if we get a close back above this fair value gap and turn it into a inverse fair value gap, that is going to be extremely bullish for the markets, like super bullish for the crypto markets. And as soon as we took it out right here, look at this, we have a massive reaction. I think this is going to take us at minimum. I've called this out you can go to my YouTube and look at my YouTube shorts. At minimum, we're going to go to this high at 65,466. And then I think we're going to test this little fair value gap right here, between 68 and 69,000. We might have a little hiccup here, and people will get scared. They're like, oh, double top or triple top or whatever. A little retest down, and then I think we're going to go to all-time highs. I think we're going to 80,000, and I think we're probably going to go to 100,000 afterwards. But this is that spark of the initial reaction that we're looking for. That 4-hour gap. And also, another super bullish thing is that we took out, there's a tiny little fair value gap here. I don't know if you guys can see it. But in one singular candle, we were able to... Oh, it's not that one. It's this one that I'm looking at. Sorry. Is this also the fair value gap? Yeah, so there's a tiny little fair value gap here. And there is a fair value gap here, which we still need to close above. But the fact that we closed above 2 bearish fair value gaps in one candle like this is pretty darn bullish, in my opinion. Not to mention, we took out major sell side. We took out this sell side right here at 50,000, which is crazy. So a lot of people that were long from this area all got stopped out. Now, it's possible we go to 38. I'm not counting on it. I think this is enough of a move to stop out everybody that was long. So I think this is probably going to be that move to take us to new highs. Of course, I mean, nobody knows. I personally am dollar cost averaging on Bitcoin, but I use this type of price action to tell me, to support my thesis of bullishness or bearishness. So yeah, that's Bitcoin. The highest risk position that I'm in right now is Riot. It's a Bitcoin miner. My average on this is like around $9.30 now, I think. But I expect this to take out this 23 level eventually. Again, it's a very high risk position, and right now we are rebalancing this weekly fair value gap. This is where I want it to be done. I don't want to see it come back here. My stop loss on this position is going to be a 50% cut, so around $5 I'm going to have to cut this position. Maybe around, like, I don't know, this low. I might leave it until like 470s, but that's the maximum. I'm not going to let that go past like a 50-55% loss. And again, it's a super small position because it's so high risk. But if Bitcoin starts to really run, these miners are going to go crazy. That's all I can tell you. And you will be rewarded heavily, even with a small size position. This is shares. I'm not doing calls or anything like that. Okay, guys, I'll be right back. So yeah, like I said before, the hourly and 4-hour fair value gap are what I'm looking at here. Um, 4-hour is more important. We also have this lower fair value gap that we could possibly trade into. But like I said, time and time again, all of these equal highs are what I'm looking to target, but the highest probability move in my eyes, I think ultimately we are going to the sell side here at 17,338.75. That is the sell side that was formed before all the volume started coming in for the NQU contract. But I think ultimately that's the draw. But before that, I don't think that market makers are going to want everybody to profit on the short side. So there needs to be retracement. And this is the 50% level of the whole leg. If you mark it from the high of the pullback to the low of the pullback that we've had so far, that is going to be where the 50% retracement will be. So I think at minimum, we're going to go back to this 50% level and take out these equal highs. And then I think eventually we're going to go up to these internal highs right here. But yeah, minimum, we're going to go up to these this 50% level. It's also sell side. So whenever you see like a major sell side like you do here, who's this? SYK, my favorite streamer. What's up, bro? Yes, I just started streaming, and I want to try and make it a big thing, but I'm in Thailand right now, and the reception, the Wi-Fi is so shitty. So I think it's super laggy, if I'm not mistaken. Do I know you? SYK. Are you from Twitter? Where are you from, bro? Oh, it's Ned. What's up? I wish I could have you on the stream. When I start streaming on Discord, though, I'll be able to add you to the voice chat. But you can't be a degen. You can't be like spewing nonsense. Only A+ setups if you're gonna talk on my live streams. Rocket League channel I made like 7 years ago. SYK. What does SYK stand for? Rocket League, bro. Bro, get off of that stupid American Airlines. It's literally the worst stock in existence. Let's take a look at it right now. I'm going to add it to general so that I can track it for you. American Airlines, the shittiest stock in existence. Oh my god. Ugh. Ugh. This is disgusting. When you fake people out, it's like you psych them out. Oh, psych. I got you. Jesus, man. This is the ugliest looking thing I've ever seen. Like, literally the ugliest thing. But this is what I would expect to happen on AAL. This is sell-side liquidity, this low right here. This is the week. This is the monthly chart. Jesus. And then it's also a fair value gap with a combination of sell-side liquidity. So I think we're probably going to come down and take that out. And then maybe we'll get a reversal to take out all this trend line liquidity, as retail traders would call it, or low resistance liquidity. So it's probably good, but I would at least wait until that 825 level is taken. And there's another tiny little fair value gap right here that we have to watch out for. Oh, Matt, by the way, can you comment on the live stream? Because I was I didn't set it up through YouTube. I set it up through I'm using Streamlab. so I can stream on like different sites. Like, I know you can chat, but can you actually comment on the live stream? Because that gets more people to watch it. Also, make sure you like as well, so more people can see it. But anyways, let's get back to NQ. IDK, you don't know how to comment on a live stream? You don't know how to comment on a YouTube video? Like, not chat. At every YouTube video you watch, you should be able to comment below the video. But for some reason with this live stream, it doesn't seem to work. Like, scroll down to the bottom of the video, and if you see a section to comment on the video itself, then it will work. But if it doesn't, if you don't see anything, then just tell me, because I have to fix that for the next stream. The comment button goes to live chat. Oh, okay. All right, well, at least make sure you like the video so that more people can see it. But, okay, Matt, I'm going to teach you about ICT real quick. So, the first thing that I look at for trading is daily bias. So I go to the high time frames. So this is a 4-hour chart. So every green line that you see here, they're perfect equal highs. So like algorithmically for NQ, I've never heard of commenting on live streams. Oh, okay. Maybe you can. I don't know. I thought you could, but anyways, so every green line you see here is perfect equal highs. So for example, I'm going to show you this one. This green line, literally tick for tick, at some point, we formed perfect equal highs, like identical figures. And that acts as a magnet for price. So here it is. This is a triple equal high, right? So right here, this high, if you look up here, it's going to be identical to the other two. So 18,952, and then right here is 18,952, and then right here is 18,952. So these are triple equal highs. So the algorithm is designed to move to those levels. So one of the reasons I've been adding QQQ pretty heavy as a swing trade is because I know that these levels are going to get hit. Eventually, all of them are going to get hit. It's just a matter of when. But this is my final draw right here. This low right here on the 4-hour is the sell side that was created when volume started to kick in on this contract for NQU 2024. So that is my ultimate draw. But I don't think, most of the time, market makers don't allow the market to be one-sided without stopping a bunch of people out. They don't want people to make money on the short side. So we want to see a retracement. Where do we want to see a retracement to? The 50% level of this pullback. So if you take a Fibonacci tool and you draw it from the high that formed on whatever this was, July 11th, all the way to this, the whole pullback we've just had, when everyone's freaking out about Japan and recessions, you draw Fibonacci, and the 50% retracement is where we ultimately go to. I know you've probably heard, we've talked about that before. It also matches up with these perfect equal highs. You can look on the 1 minute and you'll find them here. And it's 50%, and it matches up with this major sell side liquidity. So all of these things act as a magnet for price. So at minimum, I think we're going to go up to that level, and then we'll probably reject if we're going to. But apart from that, we could just continue higher. But the highest probability move for me is this 50%. So I will cut a portion of my QQQ longs once we get to this level because of that. And then I'll leave the rest in case we're bound to make new all-time highs. Yeah, exactly. 50% retracements are like almost guaranteed. So if you guys ever, for anyone else that's watching, if you guys ever want to take swing trades on the futures market, or like translate it to QQQ or SPY if you want to trade just regular stocks, when you have a huge move and it's extended to one side or the other, for example, in this situation we're extended to the downside, just take a Fibonacci tool and draw it from the high of the leg to the low. Oh shit, why is this coming? Oh no, there we go. Draw it from the high to the low, and that 50% level is a almost guaranteed spot for the market to go. So you guys can do what you want with that information. But I've back tested this countless times, and it is one of the most foolproof methods for trading, especially if you want to swing trade. And just for most people to understand, like, if you want to day trade, great, but the majority of you are not going to be profitable day trading. It is an extremely difficult endeavor, so it also takes a lot of time. So if you want to reduce the amount of trades you're taking and increase your profitability, you are going to be much better off swing trading. Like, that is, with almost 100% certainty, 99% of people, you're going to be more effective doing it that way. Yeah, so that's NQ. Matt, do you want me to look at any other stocks? What other nonsense degenerate stock are you looking at? You want to see Riot? Let me see here. Okay, so this one, if you look at the monthly chart, that is where I put all of my emphasis on for this. This monthly fair value gap is the main holding point. Like, this needs to hold. If we close below this on the monthly, we're probably going to dip all the way back down to like $3.30, or at minimum to this internal low, which is at $5.16. But this is where I expect it to hold. And I want all of these highs to get taken out. This internal high, this internal high, this internal high. So 23.66 is my final take profit. But if Bitcoin really starts to rip, this thing is going to go crazy. It really is going to go insane. And then for Bitcoin, so this is what I've been calling on Twitter. So this is the 4-hour chart, and this is the fair value gap that I was looking at. We took out this sell-side liquidity, and we took out this sell-side liquidity. So everyone that was long before this massive move, they got stopped out of their positions. And now that the 4-hour is inversed, this is super bullish. So I called this before it happened. I said if this 4-hour inverses, if the fair value gap turns into an inverse fair value gap, at minimum we're going to this internal high, which is at 65.466. And then I think we might have a small hiccup in this little fair value gap right here between 68 and 69. But after we close above that, we're going to rock it. We're going to go all the way back to all-time highs, and then probably 80, probably 100,000 after that. Who knows? So that's Bitcoin and Riot. And, I'm not actually trading today. I'm sure you saw that in the Discord because it is a no news Friday. When there's no news, no red folder news, I don't trade with real money. I mean, I might consider trading with an eval, but I don't know if I legally can show that on the screen. So anything that I'm going to show is going to be paper trading. I've heard people get like SEC issues. Like being threatened by the SEC for trading with live funds. But I don't know for sure, so I'm just not going to risk it. At minimum, yeah, so like I said, equal highs, 50% retracement. That's where I think we're going to go. If you want to swing trade QQQ, I think this is a great place to start adding. And at minimum, I would hold to this 50% retracement of the leg. By the way, for anybody that wants to make some good money or have a potential to make good money, if you go on TradingView right now, they're doing this competition called the Leap. It's completely free to do. You start with 250,000 in like fake funds, and you compete. And if you get, I think it's between first and like 10th place, you can make up to like, I think it's like $5,000 or $10,000 for first place if you win. And it's just complete paper trading. So if you guys want an opportunity to make some money, you can do that. So yeah, for anyone who's just logging in, I am not trading with live funds today. It is a no news Friday, and it's just not worth it for me to trade with a real account. The only days that I trade, if you want to learn how to day trade, is the days that have red folder news. So, for example, this week, let's see if we can pull up. I'll pull up a chart for you guys really quickly. I'll just pull up the economic calendar so you can see it. So this is a site that I use. It's called forexfactory.com if you haven't heard of it. This is where I get all of my news from. And also FinJuice. This is another good site, financialjuice.com. This one goes into a little bit more detail, but like for Discord, when I post all my plays for the week, this is what I use. I only trade on days with red folder news. So this week, that was Monday and Thursday. So Friday we have nothing, as you can see right here. And then Tuesday and Wednesday we had nothing as well. Only orange folder, which I don't really care for. If the setup is incredible, like if I see some really nice fair value gaps and not a lot of chop barcode candles, then I will take trades on these days, but it's rare. And then Financial Juice. So this also is nice because it shows crypto, fear, and greed. Just 2 days ago, actually yesterday I think, Bitcoin was at extreme fear, and now we're at neutral. And I think this is a fear and greed index for the stock market, if I'm not mistaken. Crypto fear, fear and greed. Yeah, this is crypto, and then this is regular. Today is the 9th, right? Yeah, so there's no news. So that's that. If you look at what's going on here, let's just look at the 1 minute to see what's going on as far as trades are concerned. So look where we're rejecting from. Med, this is for you, bro. So this is, I think, where the ultimate draw is going to be. Oh, hold on. I didn't draw this right. Bro, what's going on with my trading view? It's like really messed up. Low, low, draw it out in time. Wow, we just missed the fair value gap. So I think we're going to get here. But we just came up and closed right above this internal fair value gap right here, and we rejected. So I think what's probably going to happen here, we're going to probably consolidate in this area, and then once we close back above this fair value gap right here, this 1 minute, if it's one singular candle or two candles with strength and we close above, I would take this as a paper trade. Okay, we would have our stop as a 1 minute close back below this fair value gap, and take profit would be at minimum this internal high right here. So it's a 1.421 RR trade. And so if you risk, I mean, let's just look at it. All right, bro, good luck with stream. I gotta have breakfast. All right, good luck, Med. Talk to you later, bro. Thanks for joining. What the hell? Why can't I create a limit order? Huh? Why is this not letting me create a limit order on paper trading? Trade. Oh, because I'm on the competition. Hold on. Let's go back to checkmate trading. All right, so this is what I'm expecting to happen here. We're trading down into this area of support, I guess you can call it. There's order blocks here. If we close above this fair value gap right here, then I would want to see, once we close above this fair value gap, this 1 minute fair value gap, then I would want to see us go up at minimum into this 1 minute fair value gap right here. So that is where I would take my full position off. So for example, right here, if we create a limit order, one contract is going to be, I don't know what the total is. So one contract here, if we come and trade up at this 1 minute fair value gap, the risk is going to be $380 and the profit is going to be $605. So not the best RR trade. And again, this is not something I'm taking with live funds today because it's just not worth it. There's no news. But if we get this push back up, and ideally it's in a macro time, so the macro time is going to be from 10:50 to 11:10. If we start the move around 10:50, that will be an optimal trade, in my opinion. So look at this. We're already getting some strength out of this. We want to see 1 or 2 bullish candles, ideally. It doesn't have to be, but the conviction in the trade will be a lot higher if it's 1 or 2 bullish candles and we close above this fair value gap. And we make it into an inverse fair value gap. And the reason that I like IFEG setup so much is because it gives you a set parameter. Like, you know, if this closes below the fair value gap again, so the way it works, you close above it. If we get a close on the 1 minute below it again, that invalidates the trade, and I would be out. And that's the trade for the day. But again, this isn't the highest probability, in my opinion. But that's all that I'm seeing right now. That is all that I am seeing at the moment. What the fuck? This is the beauty of trading. Some of it is really boring because you sit and you wait. Yeah, so we're not getting much follow through on this. So what else could be happening here? Well, let's look at the 5 minute and see if we see anything there. Yeah, this is just such ass trading. Such ass price action. I mean, this is what I said initially. I mean, there's a possibility that we're going back down to retest this 4-hour fair value gap. There's also an hourly fair value gap within. There's also an hourly fair value gap within this 4-hour FEG. So we could easily come down into here. We could also easily come down into this 4-hour FEG and rebalance this before moving higher. There's just so many possibilities here that I'm just, it's not, the probabilities are not high in either direction right now. So I just prefer to avoid it. Let me see something. Yeah, so I'm looking at high time frames because I am unsure of what's happening. It's okay as a trader to be unsure about where the market is going. But just use your common sense and your fair value gaps to determine where the market is likely to go. So like in this case, I think these equal highs are going to be super likely at some point, and this 50% retracement. So my bias is bullish, right? But I need to see a positive reaction. And the fact that it's a no news Friday tells me that the odds of a big move today are a lot slimmer. So you have to be super careful. Damn. One of my videos is ripping. Let's go. Let me check something quick. Do I have a scheduled video? What the heck is that? What video is this?
So everybody on X right now, it seems like this is freaking out about a stock market crash, a recession is coming. Unemployment came out a lot higher than expected.
What the hell?
We formed this bearish fair value gap, and we're about to close back above it on the 4-hour. If we close back above this, I am extremely bullish on Bitcoin. I think that Bitcoin is most likely going to go up to this internal high around.
Okay, so here we go. Now it looks like the market is going to come down and retest this 4-hour FEG. In fact, it's pretty darn obvious that that's going to happen now. If you want to take a trade here that's lower probability, you can try this right now. Okay, we just had a 2-minute close below this fair value gap right here. Oh, not yet. So actually wait for the 2-minute to close. But once it does, you can try a short here. Again, I would not recommend taking this, but it seems pretty likely to happen, like very high certainty. And I would actually take it all the way down to this low, personally. So let's try it, actually. We'll try it with 1 unit once we get the 2-minute close. Oh, we did already. Oh, whoops. Let's short. So again, stop loss is going to be a close back above. Take profit will be at this internal low. Wow, this is crazy. So with 1 NQ contract right now, the market is moving at ridiculous levels. 1 NQ contract with a tiny stop. I mean, it's not really that tiny. It's a 40-point stop. That's crazy. So you get a 40-point stop. Take profit would be $1,200, and your stop loss would be $855. Now, in theory, technically, the close would be a 2-minute close above this fair value gap. Technically, the close would be if we get a 2-minute close now, and you could stop your loss at something a little bit more minuscule, more minor. But you really would not want to see the close above this secondary fair value gap right here. This is like the real determination of where the market's going to head. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, so that's in theory that is the close, but if you are in this position, I would take this. I would take this off now. But if you're not in the, if you're in like paper trading and you want to just understand for educational purposes, I would hold the trade. Ideally, you'd want to see a big push down here, and then again, your take profits will be this internal low, and then this is your ultimate sell side. I think what's acceptable for this trade is to come up and rebalance this 1 minute FVG, right? So that would be like right here. This is acceptable, but it's not required. And what should happen here is a dump all the way down to this internal low and this internal low. Why am I looking at those specific spots? Well, again, I think what's going to happen here, we had this big wick. It was a major rejection, right? And we have this 1 hour fair value gap that I think needs to be rebalanced. And we barely tapped into this 4 hour fair value gap. So I think we need to at least come down and take out the 50% level of this fair value gap, which is 18,328.25. That is the thesis behind the trade. Now, if it happens in this leg, that would be great. The macro time starts at 10:50, so we might get consolidation until that point, so you have to be careful for that. Just watch out for that. So always be aware that that could happen. But now, I mean, essentially, we're just going to be waiting 10 minutes for the macro time. Unless miraculously the move happens before, but it's more likely that it'll happen at the macro time. And again, no news today. This is choppy price action, not the high probability day to trade, in my opinion. But again, we'd want to see a rebalance of that. Was it a 2 minute? There's a 1 minute right here, and there was a 2 minute right here that we could rebalance in theory. And if that doesn't happen, I mean, if it starts trading above this 2 minute fair value gap and the 1 minute, then obviously the bias is wrong for the current time. But this is where you'd want to see it. This is the acceptable area for it to come and rebalance. But if we start trading above this, you have to accept the risk. I mean, you have to accept the risk when you enter the trade, but you have to accept that your bias is wrong. So let's see what happens here. Again, like I said, macro time starts in 10 minutes. So, I mean, in theory, that's where you'd have to wait until. Okay, guys, while I'm waiting for this macro, I'm going to post a YouTube short that I was supposed to post today. Let's see if I can do that. Go to YouTube on my phone. All right, so you guys can see here what happens when you take a trade at a bad time before a macro. This is what happens. So this is where we would need to see the market slow down. And you see now I'm basically moving my stop up from initially what was a 1.3 to 1 trade to now a negative R trade, which is terrible. But this is where you would need to see the market reject in theory, right? This is a 1 minute fair value gap. This is the top of the fair value gap. So you do not want to see a close above this. That is like the final line in the sand. But that is what we are seeing right now. So let's wait and see what happens. But this needs to be the spot where we reject. And what you're seeing right now is like time distortion, because it's not the macro time, so the move isn't like effectively happening just yet. And you see how we're coloring outside the line. So like this is that 2 minute fair value gap that we closed below, and now we're closing back above it, and now we might even close below it again. So this tells me immediately that this price action is just ass. Sorry for my language, but it's not good price action when you see fair value gaps not get respected. Okay, so just a forewarning for everybody. All right, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. We got another. Is this a close below it? No, we closed right at it. So, again, terrible PA here. But we want to see the move happen at the 1050 macro. And in fact, I don't want to see the market come back above this high. Like, it's would not be a good sign. So I'm just going to roll my stop. But in theory, like I said, 1050 macros in 6 minutes. So that is where we're going to need to end up moving down. Ugh, shit. All right, hold on. Again, time distortion, time distortion, time distortion. It's all that we're seeing here. Okay, let's edit our video.
This bearish fair value gap, and we're about to end though Bitcoin is trading at extreme fear.
Wow, look at this major push. I'm going to move my stop just for educational purposes. And this is why you do not trade with real money on a no news Friday. No respect to fair value gaps. All right, so Bitcoin panic is setting in. All right, so this is again why is now this is that 2 minute fair value gap that we closed above, so we might take out this internal high. Let's move our stop to right here. Wow, what a terrible day. You see why this is why price action is so terrible with these days, is that you have this 2-minute fair value gap that was closed below. This should at minimum have taken us down to this internal low. That's just how good price action works. So the fact that that didn't happen, then we closed above it. I think this was a close below or on it. It's like no respect for the fair value gaps. It shows you that price action is just terrible. And again, we would never have traded this day with real money. And here is just, it goes to show you why. Yeah, so you should be out of this trade, but I'm gonna hold it just for educational purposes. Just for educational purposes, I'm gonna hold the trade. On the 1 minute, we just inverse this fair value gap right here. So in theory, we should go up to this swing high right here. Okay, I'll mark that out. And then maybe, just maybe, after we take out maybe this and this, we will come back down and complete the move. But I'm not counting on it. And again, this is not a real trade. This is a paper trade. This is not with a live account. All right, so we're going to shorten one more just for the fun of it here. Lower our cost basis. Oh my god, bro. Yeah, this is going to get stopped out, guys. Like 100% certainty. And wow, we didn't get stopped out yet. That's crazy. How did we not get stopped out? This is ridiculous. I don't understand. All right, there we go. There's the stop out. So, this is where... Okay, so this is where you could make back most of your money. I know I sound like a degenerate, but the probabilities that this happens are very high now. So now this trade is going to switch. Okay. This is going to be a long position. Stop is going to be a close back below the IFEG. Take profit is going to be this internal high. We're going to do this with 3 contracts if it happens. Let's wait for the close on the 1 minute. No, it didn't fill my order. It didn't fill my order, bro. Oh my goodness, it didn't fill my order. Hold on. Let's see if it fills it. We need to see the 1 minute close above, by the way. And the 2 minute, ideally. Let's see if we get the order filled. All right, so we're in. Stop loss is going to be a close below. Take profit is going to be the internal high here. We're going to move our stop until we actually get the close. All right, guys, you need to see a bullish reaction now. It is the macro time, so that's a great sign. We want to see the move happen here. Let's see what happens. So ideally, we want to wait for a 1 and a 2 minute close. Again, if you're watching this right now, this is not a real trade. This is a paper trade. It is a no news Friday. We don't trade with real money. But in theory, this is a 1 minute inverse fair value gap within the 1050 to 11 macro. So this is where price should move at minimum to this internal high, but what we're looking for is this fair value gap right here that is unbalanced. So technically right now your stop should be moved to break even because we just were about to sweep this internal high. And in fact, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to show you that. So now this is a break even trade. So if I get stopped out, I get stopped out of the trade, but it basically guarantees me a free trade. But the algorithm should spool price. If we really are bullish here, we shouldn't come back and retest this. Now, because it's a no news day, then it's possible that it's not going to even work, but you know, it'll be more choppy, but that's the reality, is that with no news days like this, with red folder news, no red folder news, it's just a shitty day to trade. But let's see if we get it. All right, that's a nice close. We want to see this fair value gap get tested now. And in fact, let's move this up to 2040, just so that we can say that we got 2000 out of it. Now, in theory, too, you might want to take profits at this internal high just in case it takes us back down now, but I'm just going to hold it. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens. So we're currently up $800 on the trade, but it can easily go against us. In fact, let's just lower this back below the IFEG, just for demonstration purposes. See if we get lucky on it. Because technically the trade it's not invalidated until we get the close below. And just because of the nature of today, I wouldn't be surprised to see it come back down. So let's see what happens. It's just sucky because there's not a lot of follow through, which is unfortunate, but that's the nature of trading, right? That is the nature of trading. Again, the trade will only be invalidated when we get the 2-minute close below this fair value gap. Wow, this is getting painful. We're halfway through the macro. We might be coming down to rebalance this 1-minute FVG, possibly. It might just not show us follow through on the day, but how much time do we have left on this trade? We do not want to see the 2-minute close below here. Wow, that was too close for me not to. I have to now move my stop to that low, but this is what I'm going to do, guys. Because of that close, because it was so close, I'm going to move my stop down to this internal low, and that'll be it. If I lose this trade, then we're done for the day. But again, we never started because it's a no news trading day. No news day. We do not trade on these days. Look at that reaction. Let's go. This needs to be the driver up higher now. And in fact, I'm going to put my take profit at that internal high. So it'd be a $2,085 profit here. Again, it's the macro time, so this needs to push here. Like, this is the time for this trade to go. If it doesn't go here, then it's not happening probably until the next macro time. And in that case, the market's going to chop up and down, left and right. So look at that, no follow through. So guys, we need to see follow through on this candle. This should not happen if it's going to be bullish. So we've got 8 minutes left in the macro. So we ideally want to see this happen in the next 8 minutes. And this is the part about trading that is so painful, is like when you're watching a position with big size go back and forth against you, back and forth against you, and having the conviction to hold a trade is the hardest part about trading. Not moving your stops, not moving your stops to break even too quickly, not moving your stops too low because you're afraid of just losing the money. Like, you have to be so careful when it comes to trading like this. And this is why we stress only taking the best setups in the market. This is not an A+ setup, in my opinion. It's like B. But it is a macro time, so, you know, that does give it more validity. But you still have to be so careful. Like, if this internal high gets taken here, I think in that case it would be safe to move your stops to break even. Like, we actually didn't take it out, so I'm not going to move it just yet. But once we get like this high to get taken out right here, the algorithm should spool price up. We shouldn't go and back down and retest, you know, more levels. So we're waiting again for this internal high to get taken. That is where I officially move my stops to break even. If it doesn't follow through after taking out an internal high like this, it tells me that the market's algorithm is like haywire, and it's like one of those days designed to seek and destroy. So you have to be so careful. So let's see if it hits. All right, so we just took that out. I want to see the market push here. It's a macro time. We have buy-side liquidity above. There should be no reason for the market to come down and retest these things, these lows. If it does, the algorithm is in a seek and destroy condition, and it's something that I personally don't want to be in. So I would just I'd rather just get stopped out at break even than have to wait and sit through potentially a crazy volatile section of time that's going to just wreck my accounts. Like, it's just not worth it for me. So let's see if we get it. So if you guys want, you can take some profits there, but I'm going to personally hold up to that high. That is just me. And boom. 3 contracts taken just like that. Easy as that, guys. And it's probably going to go higher now. Look at that. We're going to inverse this now. Crazy. We keep winning, baby! Yeah, another thing is not to get so, you know, crazy. You want to stay level-headed when you're trading. So one loss and 1 win on the day. And, of course, the win was bigger than the loss. So overall net, we are green. And that is how you trade. But again, this day is not a day that you should have been trading with live funds, in my opinion. So before we exit the trade, let's see what's going on. Bitcoin. Again, that 4-hour reversal took place. I think we are going to take out all these internal highs, and we are going to trade into the 68, 69 area next. Let's see what's going on with Tesla. Nothing. We've done nothing today. SOXL is down 1%. Whatever, that's fine. That's one of the ones that we've been adding for a long-term account, as you probably know already. Shopify. What is Shopify doing on the day? We are up 0.23%. This is one that I added at 53, and we had that crazy up move, and now I think we are probably going to go back up to this internal high at minimum. This is where I will take some profits at 79. I think there's so many people that are short on Spotify, and I don't know. I might take some profits at 76, but I think this gap is going to get filled. That's just my view on it. All right, guys, so that's going to be it for me. If you were able to tune in at any point during the stream, I thank you for that. If you just finished watching it or you're currently watching it, please give it a like, subscribe. It really helps the account grow. If you want more people to see this live stream,